This is the notes for section 7.4, and you're going to start with it like this and fold it towards the center. And what we're looking at in this section is that similar parts, just like we did in section 7.3. This is 7.4. And there's a couple of things that we need to learn. We need to learn triangle proportionality theorem. And what that means is that a line parallel to one side of the triangle separates the two sides proportionally. And the converse is also true. What does that mean? That means that this side is proportional to this side. So we write that BC will be compared to the side CD. And that's going to be equal to AB divided by DE. So it would be, let me get a highlighter out. And I try not to use yellow because yellow is hard to see here, but let me know if this helps out. We have this side will be proportional to this one. And this side is proportional to this one. The other theorem that we need to know is a triangle mid-segment theorem. The mid-segment connects the two endpoints of two sides of a triangle. The midpoint segment is parallel to the third side and is half of the length. So what does that mean? And that means that this is half of this. So we write the BD is equal to 1/2 of AE. Proportional parts with proportional lines. This one looks just like the one above it, where we can have that this is proportional to this side. And this is proportional to this. And the reason that it's true is because actually this is true. And what they do is just connect it at the top so it makes it look like a triangle. But these are true once the lines are parallel. So you can have that A divided by B. So this side of the parallel lines is proportional to C divided by D. Okay, so you can have this side compared to this side. You can also have that AC, like I was writing on this one, the opposite sides. AC, so A divided by C, is going to be the same ratio as B divided by D. So this side compared to this side compared to this. We also can start adding sections together. So I can say that A compared to the whole section A plus B is going to have the same ratio as C compared to the whole section as C plus D. Well, let's take a look inside. On the front side, I had told you that this is going to be compared to this. And this is compared to this. So we don't actually need to set up the ratio, because I hope you can tell that if this is 5 and is 4 compared to 5, then this has to be also 4, so it can have the same ratio as 4 divided by 5, and it'll be equal to 4 divided by 5. So we have x is equal to 4. If that did not make sense to you, then just set up the proportion. We know that we had 4 divided by 5, and that's supposed to be equal to x divided by 5. We can cross multiply. 20 is equal to 5x. then we're going to divide by 5 to both sides. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Okay. So some of you will be able to tell when you have 3 divided by 9. And that's equal to 6 divided by x. You can do this mentally. But if that doesn't make any sense to you, please feel free to solve the proportion. And you know I like to see that work. So 3x is equal to 54 divided by 3. I'm just checking my answers over here. X is equal to 18. The other thing you could have been able to tell is that if you compare them this way, like we did on this graph, this divided by this, it actually makes it easier. If you did 3 divided by 6, that's 1/2. So if you did 9 divided by x, this would have to be 18 to get that 1/2. But it's still the same. Alright, so over here we have several different ways that we could set it up. I'm going to try to stay consistent. I'm telling you some things that are extra, but if you don't understand, we could still just set it up the way we've been setting it up. So you have 10, I'm trying to write sideways, sorry about that. 10 divided by x plus 6 is supposed to have the same ratio as, so if I do 10, I have to do 2 divided by x. Because which side you start on does matter. We cross multiply. We have 10x is equal to 2 open parentheses x plus 6. Don't forget you're trying to multiply the whole denominator, x plus 6. You have 10x is equal to 2x plus 12. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. I have 8x is equal to 12. Divided by 8 to both sides. X is equal to, I'm going to call it 1.5. Okay, this one over here, we're going to set up the ratio as x plus 2 divided by 18. It's going to be equal to x minus 1 divided by 10. We cross multiply, we have 10 open parentheses x plus 2 is equal to 18 open parentheses x minus 1, close those parentheses, because it's the whole numerator and the whole numerator on this side that we're multiplying by. We have 10x plus 20 is equal to 18x minus 18. I'm going to subtract the 18x from this side. Subtract 20 from this side. Negative 8x is equal to negative 38. Divide both sides by negative 8. X is equal to a positive 4.75. Alright, so that was this section of how to compare the signs. I set them up to the left and to the right, to the left and to the right, and because that's how I've been doing it in other sections. But you already know that you can set them up differently. Top to bottom is another option. Alright, in this section, remember we had that the one in the middle was 1/2 the one on the outside. So if I take 10 and I divide by 2, gives me 5. That means x is equal to 5. It's half. If you have the one in the middle, we have to do 7.5 times 2, which gives you 15. That means x is equal to 15. Because 15, if you take half of it, that's 7.5. Here, what they're telling you is that the sides are proportional, and you need to know that so we can hold this true. And remember, the bottom one is you're going to take that and divide by half to get this one in the middle. So we have 7, and we're going to divide by 2, which gives you 3.5. That means x is equal to 3.5. This time we have the one in the middle, so if we take 6 and multiply by 2, that's going to give you 12, and that means x is equal to 12. So hopefully this one's a pretty easy concept for you. Alright. Like I mentioned before, here what I tend to do is the left and the right, to the left and the right, the top, the bottom. It would give you the same ratio. So, but I'm still going to do it like this. I'm going to compare these two and these two. You can compare 10 divided by x and then 16 divided by x plus 4, and it will give you the same answer. But I'm going to do x divided by x plus 4. And that's equal to 10 divided by 16, cross multiply. We have 10, open parentheses, x plus 4, closes parentheses, equal to 16x. 10x plus 40 is equal to 16x. I'm going to subtract the 10x from this side this time. I have 40 is equal to 6x divided by 6. 20/3 is equal to x. Alright, so I'm still going to do this side divided by this side. I just like to stay consistent. Yes, you can set them up differently. Yes, you will get the correct answer. But if I try to show you all those different ways, I tend to confuse students. So this is how I'm going to do it. 2x divided by 8 is equal to 6x divided by x plus 4. You cross multiply, you have 2. X, open parentheses, x plus 4. And that's equal to 8 times 6x. Alright, this is common in this section, and we're going to start talking about factoring and simplifying quadratics because from here on out, we need to know how to solve quadratics. Okay, so, and that's kind of a hard concept. I'll make sure to get some review for you. We have 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 4 is 8x. That's equal to 48x. I'm going to subtract 48x from this side. We have 2x squared minus 40x is equal to 0. Alright, so from here, we can't combine like terms because this one doesn't have a squared. So we have to factor. One way that we can factor is called having a greatest common factor, which that will work for this particular problem. What they have in common is a 2x. So I'm going to pull out a 2x. So if I divide this one by a 2x, what's going to be left over is an x. If I divide this one by a 2x, what's going to be left over is a minus 20. That's still equal to 0 because that's what I set it up to be, equals 0. That means that 2x can equal 0, or x minus 20 can equal to 0. If you don't remember this from algebra, when I get back We got to make sure that we're okay. This is an algebra 2 basic that we will need to make sure that we're okay with. All right, so I'm going to divide it by 2 to both sides. X is equal to 0. I'm going to add 20 to both sides. X is equal to 20. All right, let's take a look here. So I'm going to do this compared to this. And then this compared to this. So when I say that, what I'm talking about is that I set them up as ratios. But we have x's and y's. So they're trying to tell us something with these markings right here. With these markings right here, we have enough to say that 2a is equal to 4a minus 1. Whew, we don't have to do that work. I'm going to subtract the 4a from both sides. Minus 2a is equal to negative 1. Divide both sides by negative 2. A is equal to a positive 1/2. If these two are equal and these two signs are parallel, that means that these two will also have to be equal. Whoop, whoop, to keep that same ratio. So that would be x plus 3 is equal to 2x minus 1. Going to subtract x, add 1 and add 1. 4 is equal to x. So thanks to these markings, it made our life a whole lot easier. We know that these two are equal to each other. That means these two have to be equal to each other to keep the same ratio. No markings. So we're going to compare this one to this one. It's just which highlighter I find first. This one with this one. So I'm going to write x plus 2 divided by 4 is equal to 3x divided by x plus 4. We're going to cross multiply. I have x plus 2 times x plus 4 is equal to 4 times 3x. Alright, I'm not sure which method you were taught. I'm going to assume that you were taught FOIL is just the most common method of teaching how to multiply these out, multiply binomials. And it was like Charlie, so you had an eyebrow and eyebrow, x squared, eyebrow, multiplication, 2 times 4 is 8. And then you had a nose plus 2x. And then you had a smiley face plus 4x is equal to 12x. And then you combine like terms plus, and I'm going to do this one and this one. 8x plus 8. So I'm just writing that one in the back. Is equal to 12x. From here, I'm going to subtract the 12x from both sides. And just because I'm running out of space, I'm going to write it here. I have 12x minus 6, sorry. 6x plus 8 is equal to 0. From here, we were supposed to factor. I don't remember, I don't know if you remember how to factor, but we were doing the greatest common factor here. I taught my students how to factor by the box method, but the factor ends up being x minus 2, x minus 4. So on your test, we won't cover factoring until I'm able to be there and teach you. Well, what does that mean? X minus 2 is equal to 0, or X minus 4 is equal to 0. That means X is equal to 2 or X is equal to 4. And it has two answers. Real complicated stuff. Make sure that when I get there, we learn how to factor polynomials. Quadratics is what they're called. Let's see this. Alright, so they're giving you this notation that these two are equal. And you just set up the proportion and solve. Okay, on this one right here, you set up one side to the other side. But then this whole thing is x. That means you're going to have to add them together for the other part of that proportion. Alright, set up the proportions and solve. Set up the proportions and solve. Again, this one... so I'm going to show you with this one, and then you will be responsible for this one. We will compare this whole thing, that means to this whole thing. And then this to this. So how you set up your proportion is 63 compared to the 16 plus 12. Let me write that neater for you. 63 compared to the whole thing. I'm going to write it off to the side. 16 plus 12 is 28. So it's going to be compared to the whole thing. 28. And that's equal to the proportion of the little parts, x divided by 12. Cross multiply, solve for x. Alright. This one will be set up the same way as this one. So you're talking about the whole thing. Okay. I don't see anything too crazy. Okay, don't forget when they make those markings right here, they're telling you that they're equal.